This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
It's been a wild week in AI. In just the course of 9 days, we've seen pretty groundbreaking advancements and announcements from not just OpenAI and Google, but now Microsoft. So today we're going to be talking about how I think the 5 ways that Microsoft is going to change the way that we worked, and going over essentially the 5 things that you need to keep your eye on that were announced at the Microsoft Build conference. All right, I am excited for today's show. What's going on, y'all? My name is Jordan Wilson. I'm the host of Everyday AI, and this is for you. We are a daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter that serves as your guide to learn generative AI. So if that sounds like you, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it as always. Make sure if you haven't already, go to youreverydayai.com. Sign up for that free daily newsletter. We will be recapping a lot more from the ongoing Microsoft Build conference and everything else that's going on in the world of AI. So make sure you go check that out if you haven't already. Hey, Matthew, we are coming live. We are coming live today. We had a pre-recorded show yesterday. I was actually on the road. So, hey, I love that people, are following along that closely. But yeah, we're joining live here. What is it? Wednesday morning. So before we talk about those 5 things that you need to know from the Microsoft Build conference, let's start, as we do almost every day, by going over what's happening in the world of AI news. All right. So first, the company behind the Humane AI pin may be looking for a buyer. So Humane, a startup behind the poorly reviewed AI pin wearable computer, is seeking a potential sale, according to reports, for its business after facing criticism for an underdeveloped product. So Humane is a startup that's led by former Apple employees, and it's seeking a possible sale for its business with a reported price tag of $750 million to $1 billion. So the startup has raised $230 million in funding with some pretty notable investors, including OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. So the AI pin device was pitched as a wearable AI assistant, and it's received some pretty negative reviews for slow responses, inconsistent software, and hardware issues, among other things. Essentially, any seasoned tech reviewer kind of said, this is a half-baked product. So it should be interesting to see if Humane is even able to find a buyer at that valuation. All right, next in AI news. So we talked about this a little bit on the show on Monday, actually, but some updates. So actress Scarlett Johansson and OpenAI's Sam Altman are kind of fighting. So Scarlett Johansson released a statement and claimed that OpenAI created a voice that sounds just like her without her consent for their product ChatGPT. She is now seeking some transparency and legal action. So to quickly recap, OpenAI did even release a statement that said that they were pulling down this Sky voice option. So, ChatGPT, as do a lot of large language models, have options where it can read back responses and you can choose from different voices. So there was one that was called Sky, which has since been pulled from ChatGPT, I believe, as of late Sunday night, early Monday morning of this week, because there were complaints of it sounding too much like Scarlett Johansson. So in this statement, Scarlett Johansson said that essentially OpenAI reached out to her asking if she wanted to be the voice of ChatGPT. She reportedly declined. And then OpenAI kind of found, they said that this was a separate voice actor that sounded kind of pretty much exactly like her. So some ongoing battle there. Who knew that we would have celebrity drama in the middle of large language models. All right. And then last but not least, in AI news, a new Anthropic paper breaks down how large language models work. And it's pretty noteworthy kind of discoveries, actually. So Anthropic, a leading AI company, recently published a research paper aiming to explain the decision-making process of its AI chatbot, Claude. So AI systems operate similar to the human brain, using layered neural networks to process information and make predictions based on training data. So this whole field of AI interpretation is, it's kind of a cloudy one because, people are always focusing how all of these algorithms work and, trying to explain AI and explain this black box. So pretty interesting paper here from Anthropic researchers. And they kind of utilize what's called dictionary learning to decode Claude's neural network, revealing millions of features that provide insights into the model's reasoning. So I think this paper is really going to help the rest of us understand how these models work. So this was just released a couple hours ago. I haven't had the chance to dive into it yet. It'll probably take a couple hours to read. So make sure to check that out. So that's what we've got going on in AI news. So let's just get straight into it and let's talk about the 5 things that you need to know from Microsoft's Build conference. So they are in day 2 of the 3-day event there in Seattle, but presumably most of everything has already been announced. So I'm not going to make you wait till the end. I'm just going to give you the 5 things and then we're going to go in one by one. Ready? So 5. Microsoft is bringing Edge AI or local AI to all of us with Copilot plus PC. Number 4 is Recall. I think that's going to be a game-changing Copilot feature that's also kind of creepy and a privacy nightmare. Number 3, I think we see a much more powerful Copilot now. I think this is, we are going to be seeing this next version of Copilot is what they originally announced, more than a year ago. So I think we're going to finally be seeing that. Number 2, I think AI agents are now going to be coming mainstream with Copilot Studio Agent. And then last but not least, I think Microsoft is fighting the wrong battle when it comes to AI. All right, so let's get into it and go over. But I'm curious from our live audience joining us, like Cecilia joining us from the Windy City, the very windy city. My gosh, right? We had some tornado watch here's. All right, so Woozy said he's trying to figure out the volume. So hey, everyone else, let me know. I'm in a little bit of a different setup today, so hopefully y'all can hear me. But for our live stream audience, I would love to hear what are your thoughts on this Copilot announcement so far from the Microsoft Build conference. A, maybe you didn't pay much attention. B, are you thinking it's pretty impressive? C, is it very impressive? Or D, are you just not impressed at all? I'd love to hear and get a gauge from our live stream audience. We always try and, bring news that matters to you and updates that matter. So, I'm really curious what people think of Copilot so far. All right. So let's now that I told you all 5 things, let's jump into each one a little bit more. So number 5, Microsoft is bringing Edge AI to the masses now with Copilot plus PC. So essentially, this is a new kind of PC or a new classification of computer. And the biggest thing here, it is running generative AI locally. All right. And that's actually a huge deal. So they didn't actually come out and say what features will be running locally versus which ones won't. They didn't say if it is going to be the GPT-4o model that's going to be running locally, but it does look like that is the case. So let me just quickly explain what local AI, or, it has all these different names, Edge AI, local AI, on-device AI, but, it essentially means this. How we've been interacting with generative AI and large language models for the past couple of years has all been in the cloud, right? And there's obviously some advantages to that, but there's a lot of disadvantages, and there's, huge pros to having this Edge AI. So think of it like this. Right now, if I go into Copilot, right, and I type something in, I type a prompt, so it sends that to Microsoft's servers, so it sends it to the cloud computes it, and then it sends it back to me. So there's obviously latency there, right? It increases my wait time, but it also increases the likelihood of some things going wrong, right? Like the more connections that you have, the higher the likelihood that something could go wrong, right? Like we see this as an example, if ChatGPT or Google, if they release new features, a lot of times it's pretty slow, right? Because their servers are getting crushed. So local AI is huge. And we haven't seen this mainly because of the size of the models, and the technology just really wasn't there to be able to do this level of compute, right? So large language models are huge, both in size and their robust capabilities. And no one, at least until now, has found out how to bring a large language model to local devices, right? At least not in mass, right? So yes, you can download some models on, Hugging Face as an example. Smaller models, especially are much easier. So, when you talk about Meta's Llama, some of their smaller models, Microsoft Phi, Mistral. So smaller models, yes, you can download and run locally, but they're not integrated into your workflow. They're not integrated into your computer. So that's another big thing here, right? It's not like you're going to just be launching one program and running, a GPT model locally. It is going to be ingrained in your workspace, right? So across Microsoft's suite of products. So this cannot be understated how big this Copilot Plus PC could be, right? Again, this is just an announcement. Right now, it's marketing. We haven't seen it yet. We've seen shiny demos, but we've seen that go wrong before with Google. So it should be pretty interesting to see how this ultimately plays out, and if this does in fact change the way that we work, right? It is very, that could be the case. So, I have said for a long time that I do think Copilot in general is changing the way that we work. And I don't think I was wrong, right? Like I said that, about 8 months ago, right before Copilot came out. And right now, if you work at a larger company and you are a Windows company, which is most enterprises, there's a good chance you have Copilot available to you, even though I do think the rollout has been a little slow. But Edge AI and Copilot Plus PC could change that, right? So it obviously is going to require a higher, a more capable device, right? So a lot of these devices, I believe the date that they threw out there was June 18th is when a lot of these PCs are going to be available. So yeah, it's not like you can just run Copilot Plus, on an older PC. It is only going to be some of these newer ones. And it's kind of made possible with this NPU. Okay, so this neural processing unit. So essentially how this is going to work without getting too far into the technical weeds is it's Microsoft Copilot Plus PCs are going to use a combination of a standard, CPU processing unit, right? Graphics processing unit, GPU, and then this new technology that they essentially, have created in the NPU. And here's another good thing, or another good thing to keep in mind, right? Because you might be thinking, okay, this is going to bring things locally, right? So a lot of times, one of the biggest reasons that companies aren't using Copilot or aren't using generative AI as a whole is because of data and privacy, right? Because right now, let's just say as an example, if you want to upload a document or into Copilot, it's technically you are sharing it with Microsoft servers, right? You are sending it to their cloud. So the big advantage here is not having to do that, is, still having a level of data security and data privacy and being able to work with these files kind of quote unquote offline, right? And being able to run this very powerful, generative AI technology locally on your hard drive with this new combination of working with the CPU, GPU, and NPU. All right. So on the flip side, right? Yeah, this is also, I think, okay, here's what I think, y'all. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily going to understand how this works, right? And they're still going to, bring in documents that they maybe shouldn't be using generative AI for, even locally. And here's what I mean. Which it sounds crazy to say this, but I think that sometimes cloud is more secure than your personal device, right? So let's just say, right, that we all start putting, the most important files of for our company on our hard drive. It's not usually how it works, right? Those are, those files normally live in a secure drive for a reason. So I do think that there's going to be a lot of decision that business owners or, CTOs or CIOs or CMOs have to make, saying like, hey, are we going to allow, our employees to use this new Copilot Plus PC and, this new, more powerful Copilot technology and bring some of our most, our most sensitive, our most confidential documents to their external hard drive, right? Yes, it allows them to work locally. Yes, Microsoft does say that it's not sharing your data or sending your data when you're working with it on your local device, but that also does create a little bit of a security risk, right? So now all of a sudden, whereas a lot of times maybe employees wouldn't have very, confidential or sensitive data living on their hard drive, it's on a shared company drive. Maybe they will now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of impacts how we work. All right. Our next thing, number 4, recall, I think is a game-changing Copilot feature. People are going to be talking more about Copilot plus PC, I believe. They're going to be talking more about GPT-4o. I think this recall feature is going to be the one that gets people to use Copilot and gets people kind of the gateway drug, so to speak. I think that's going to be the one that does it, is this recall feature. So here's what recall is. It remembers everything. So think how your browser has internet history, right? Now recall, think of it as computer history, right? So it's going to change. Sorry, y'all. I got some sun blaring in the eyes there. There we go. So it is going to, I think, change how we use our computers, how we use the PC. So essentially with recall, it is going to remember every single thing that you are using within Microsoft's products. So they haven't said if you are using, as an example, Google Chrome, if it's still going to remember everything, or if it is just limited to their browser, Microsoft Edge, and all of their products. But still, I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? So let's say, all right, your typical day, let's just say, right? You open up Microsoft Edge, you're browsing the web, then you open up Outlook, check your email. Someone's asking for, an updated PowerPoint. So then you have to go into Excel, grab the latest figures, go put it into PowerPoint. Then you upload it onto your shared team drive. Then you go into, Microsoft Word and you type up a quick memo. You go back into Outlook, shoot that over, right? It might sound like your day, but then you're like, oh man, what was it that they asked me for, last week, right? With this recall, it literally, you can scrub through your entire history. I also have no clue how they're going to be able to pull this off. I do feel that this is going to fill up your hard drive rather quickly, but you can essentially then scroll through and just type in, let's say someone was that imaginary presentation there was about a new, let's say you work at a coffee company and you're coming up with a new, a new cold brew machine, right? And someone's asking about the drip rate, right? Like how fast is the drip? And that was in a conversation on a Teams call last week, but you're like, I have no clue where it is, right? So you could just, in theory, go into recall and type in drip rate, and it's going to bring up everything, right? It's going to bring up that conversation in the Teams call. It's going to bring up the email in your Outlook. It's going to bring up the facts in the presentation, right? So this is crazy, right? And I think it's going to maybe make us, I think it's going to make certain people much more productive, but I also think it's going to make some people a little more lazy, right? So think of, even just as an example, right? Since we've had AI assistants on our meetings, you could, in theory, be a lot lazier. You could check out, right? Because the meeting's being recorded. There's a transcript. You can go talk to the meeting afterward, right? Maybe only 10% of the meeting pertain to you, so you tune out, right? I think that, yes, this is a very powerful feature that is going to help people who want to be very good at their jobs. It's going to help them be better. But I also think on the flip side, this is going to cause a lot of people to tune out, right? Because they can just kind of go through the motions of their day-to-day work and then use recall to get all the information, which maybe isn't a bad thing, right? Maybe, yes, then it does just kind of free us up to focus on more creative and strategic work. But this does, I think, change what even a required or enviable skill set for a worker is, right? A lot of times the people that you might promote, or even you yourself, maybe you got to the point in your career that you could because you're very organized. You're always going back and reading notes. And so then when you're in a meeting, you can, accurately communicate information about a project, and, people see that as, oh, you're a great employee. So this might kind of change that, right? When you can now, in theory, at the snap of your finger, go in and be able to scroll through and scrub through everything that's ever happened on your computer, right? Your Teams, your browsing history, your email, all with one simple search, and semantic search as well, right? So it's not like, if you're talking about that drip coffee maker, if you don't get it exactly right, it's going to use semantic search, and it's going to understand, oh, this is what you meant. It wasn't called that in the Teams call, but this is what you meant based on context. So pretty crazy. I do think that we are people who are going to be using this are going to work a little differently. I do think that people are going to start bookmarking or breadcrumbing kind of key moments, right? And kind of just essentially, jotting down keywords that then they can refer to later, versus, either taking a bunch of notes or really being tuned into a meeting, to a presentation, or to even something you create yourself, right? Before I send something to something, right? If we have a client, at Everyday AI, let's say we're helping them on consulting, I'm typing up these documents, even though, yes, I use AI all the time. I'm still typing them up. I'm rereading them manually all the time, because I like to, especially as someone that talks about AI live, I like to be able to recall things. Or if I'm, doing consults for people live, I like to be able to recall things instantly, right? No matter where they are. But, maybe recall changes that. And, when you're on a call, on a pitch, on a presentation, there's another feature coming that from Microsoft that they just announced that I think is going to help on this. But maybe instead, you're just instantly typing things into recall, async, in real time, and all of your answers are up there for you. So I do think that one is it's going to be a pretty game-changing feature. The flip side, this is a potential privacy nightmare. It's like, let's just be honest. Having every single thing recorded. There's a lot of people doing things probably on their computers that they don't want other people to see, right? And that could be, yes, it could be bad things, but it also could be, oh, all of a sudden, right? Let's just say you're on a work computer and you're spending, 80% of your day, and your company enables this recall feature, and you're spending 80% of your day, looking at fantasy football, or you're looking at unrelated things that, have nothing to do with your job, right? And who knows now, I do think maybe companies are going to use this feature in a bad way, right? Like, we think of the great things that something like this could do. Who knows? Maybe you might see in the future, companies collecting, especially with remote work, hybrid work, with AI everywhere. You might see companies once a month, who knows, having people check in and checking their devices in, and literally running through your entire recall history and being like, let's see if this employee is actually a good employee or not, right? So that's something I thought about right away. Yes, people are thinking about, data privacy, data, security. Absolutely. I mean, just the thought of ransomware with this thing, right? Like, if this is, between Copilot plus PC bringing, I think allowing people to store or to use, more, to have more powerful features to work with confidential private docs on their local device. And then this recall feature, I mean, ransomware is going to be wild, but I think employers could use this maybe in a bad way, in doing routine checks, and, essentially being, now being overly micromanagers, and being able to literally scrub through a timeline, right? You can literally do that, scrub through a timeline of everything that's been happening on your computer. So some weird, I think, implications that could happen down the road. And I would not be surprised to see something like that. But on the plus side, I can't wait, right? Like, let me just be honest. I'm everything Mac. I'm everything Apple. With Copilot Pro, right? You can get that on your Mac, which I think if that wasn't available, if all these Copilot features weren't available on the Mac, maybe I would have already jumped over to PC. But now with this Copilot plus PC, with this recall feature. This might be the thing that really pushes me over to the PC side. So yeah, super excited to see what happens with recall. All right. Yeah. So there we see. Yeah. Should have had this up here on my screen the whole time for our live stream audience. And, I'm curious, for our live stream audience between Copilot plus PC and recall, is this something, do you think this is going to change how you work, or do you think this is just going to be marketing features? So let's now go on to number 3 here. I think that we are going to see a more powerful Copilot that just gets you. So yes, we were asking, Juan was asking here, if this sounds like a rival to the OpenAI desktop app for Mac. Yes, so ChatGPT is rolling out with their new GPT 4.0 for paid users, a desktop app. And yes, I did talk about this at the time that, it's curious, given that Microsoft has a reported 49% equity stake in OpenAI, reportedly investing between $10 billion and $13 billion into the company. Yeah, it was kind of curious at the time that, when OpenAI had their event 1 week ago from Monday, so about 9 days ago, that they just said that their desktop app was coming to Mac, and everything that they showcase was Mac. It was all Apple products, right? I do think that is because they will be announcing, Apple will be announcing OpenAI as their kind of large language model or their generative AI partner for future iOS and iOS features and devices coming up here in June at WWDC. But the other reason, I think, Juan, to get to your question, because a lot of people were like, why wasn't this announcement coming to Windows? Well, I think that this number 3 here might just be a version of that, right? I do think that this new version of Copilot is essentially what we are seeing in GPT-4. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play a quick little video here. I hope this will kind of work well for both our live stream audience and our podcast audience. So essentially here, let me just kind of preview what's going on in this video. So someone is browsing a website in Edge, and they are using kind of the Copilot companion, right? So I think this new version of Copilot, there's a refreshed app. It is kind of like snappable. It is very easy to use wherever you are, one click. But what we are going to see here is someone talking to the new version of Copilot while they browse the web. All right, this is a pretty quick video here. So let's go ahead and take a look, watch, and listen.
All right.
And actually, let me know live stream audience that you can hear this. Hopefully you can.
Let me ask the agent here.
Hey, Seth, how's it going? What can I help you with today?
I am fantastic. I'm sorry. I'm in such a hurry. I'm going to go on an overnight camping hike where we're camping all this. It's going to be dark, cold. Should I use these shoes? It's the mountains. It's probably going to be cold.
Great, no worries. Let me take a look. Those are the Trek Star hiking sandals. While they're fantastic for summer hikes and keeping your feet cool, they might not be the best choice for cold mountain.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Pick the best thing that I should use, and can you just add it to my cart? Just one product.
No worries. Let's go with the Trek Ready hiking boots. They're durable, provide great ankle support, and most importantly, they'll keep your feet warm in the cold mountains. I'll add them to your cart now.
Oh,
ready for checkout?
I see that. Amazing. Muchísimas gracias. Espero que me vaya bien en el campamento.
De nada, Seth. Disfruta de tu campamento y mantente caliente con esas botas. Buena suerte y diviértate en las montañas.
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on GenAI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use GenAI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too. just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on GenAI.
So pretty impressive. Pretty impressive little demo there with Copilot. So yes, there's a lot new in Copilot, but I'd say one of the most noteworthy things is this integration of GPT-4o, right? And we saw this with the partnership in the past where Microsoft actually got or was able to use a lot of these OpenAI features before they even came out in OpenAI's own products. So it will be curious if that's the case here, because even though the GPT-4o announcement was about now 9 days ago, they've only just now started rolling out some of these features, right? So the biggest thing that you just saw there in this demo, I mean, if you weren't impressed, I mean, come on. Talk about a future of work. And there was another example that Microsoft did at their Build conference where it was someone playing Roblox, right? It was a dad playing Roblox, and he's like, hey, I don't really know anything about Roblox. This is, my son plays this. What's going on here, right? So essentially, when you launch Copilot, you can just click on a window to give it access to essentially see, right? Wild. So we'll link that demo in our newsletter as well. So make sure to sign up at youreverydayai.com. But same thing there, right? So this assistant, just like we saw in this demo video, was able to look at a website, read, understand, and talk with the user and talk them through it, add an item to their cart, kind of wild. Similarly, in the demo of Minecraft, right, it's able to see, and it says, oh, these guys are after you. You can either run away this way, or you can quickly turn around and, build blocks up to get out of their path, right? To be able to see, react, and offer advice in real time, this is what I think is the future of how we work, right? And I've been saying this isn't new, right? I'm not just parroting back some marketing message from Microsoft or OpenAI. I've been saying this now for 7, 8, 9 months, right? That we are all going to have a personal AI assistant that is going to help us in every aspect of our work. And this is it right here, right? I cannot understate how big this piece is, how this new Copilot and with the GPT-4o integration, being able to essentially see anything that you give it access to, and it can look, it can react, it can process, it can give you advice in real time. I mean, that's huge, y'all. Like, think of all the times that you wish, right? Oh man, I wish I had, a mentor to help me along with this project. Or, hey, I wish I could ask my director, these 10 questions, but I'd feel silly. I'd feel dumb. I'd feel like, that they would judge me, that, I wasn't prepared enough, right? I think there are so many times that we wish we had someone smarter kind of working over our shoulder. Now we all do. Right. So yes, this is, GPT-4o technology. Yes, we also saw an announcement of this from Google as well with their Project Astra. But here we are in the new version of Copilot out of the box. The ability to, essentially launch the Copilot app, click on anything you want to give it access to, and then it can see, it can understand, it can reason, and you can talk to it in real time, low latency. I mean, y'all, this is, I think, the original premise of when Microsoft announced Copilot, a year ago. I don't think it was there yet. But I mean, this does change how we not just interact with AI systems, but this changes how we work, right? Yeah, I do think this is the future where you are just going to, if you walk into a co-working space or a library or something, normally you might see someone kind of zoned in with headphones, working silently. I think in the future, it's just going to be people talking, right? People are going to be talking into their computers, giving them access. Here's this code I'm writing. Here's this spreadsheet. I can't figure out this programming piece. Here's a sales deck. I'm going on a call. How should I focus on this type of client? What should I be telling them? Right? Like, we are all going to have the power of the world, literally one click, one conversation away to help us on anything instantly. Pretty impressive future. All right, let's keep this going. Our last two here. So number two, Microsoft may bring us our first mainstream AI agents. So AI agents aren't necessarily anything new, right? So we've heard, recent announcements from Google, from Meta, and there's from a lot of other, companies, right? Like there's Devin, that's kind of more for coding AI agent or assistant. LangChain has been around and been popular in the developer community for many months. But this might be I think, the most mainstream and the first big mainstream play of AI agents. So yesterday at the Build conference, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella kind of walked everyone through kind of this, what he called the new Copilot stack. So essentially you have your personal Copilot, you have your team's Copilot team. So I'm going to talk about that here in a second, as well as agents. Okay, so let's first talk a little bit about Copilot team. Okay, so not only do you have this new agent capability, but the team capability as well. So it's essentially an employee, quote unquote, that you can bring anywhere. So we saw this same concept from Google last week, where you are literally assigning like an AI agent as a actual coworker, right? Like you're giving them a seat, you're giving them access to, certain files, just like you would like a remote employee. And we're seeing the same thing here with Copilot teams. So, in the example that they showed at the conference, literally it's admitting Copilot into your team's meeting, right? Giving it access to certain files. When you're chatting in Teams, you can chat with them, right? And they have access to all of that knowledge and all of the documents that you give them access to. So pretty big on the team side, but also on the agents, right? So there's not a lot of information out about it yet. But I do believe that this is going to be one of the more popular features along with recall. But essentially, from what little we know, the ability now within Copilot Studio to essentially go customize a Copilot, where you can essentially, I won't say fine tune it, but you can kind of tweak its capabilities, give it certain knowledge, and then call on it at any point. So think of, a lot of times when you go into a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Claude, right, you're just kind of working with this base model. So the way that I would say this agent is, think of it more of like a custom GPT that you can build, right? And you can obviously do that within Copilot, but then one that can actually help perform actions on your behalf, right? So let's just say, as an example, you can kind of customize a Copilot agent that is going to always attend your team's meetings, and then it's going to type up a recap, and it's going to, create a quick slide presentation, and then type up an email in Outlook, right? So you can essentially customize those agent functionalities. So kind of create it specialized for what you want it to do, and then deploy it at scale, right? So have it act as a team member, but you can customize its capabilities and what it should be doing. So extremely powerful, right? Especially when you think, right? I always tell people, hey, how do you start using generative AI at your company? I say, what are the most manual, kind of not like low knowledge, but what are those most manual, low hanging fruit tasks that you do on a repetitive basis, right? And then you should be building simple workflows that help you, let's say that process that I said, let's say you're a project manager and you're attending a Teams meeting, and then you're making a quick, 10 slide recap. Let's say it's a huge, all hands meeting where hundreds or thousands of employees attend. So then you kind of, you take notes, you create a little document, a little slide, and then you email it out to everyone. Let's just say, as an example, along with a link to the recap where people can watch. Maybe that process takes you 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Maybe that's the majority of your job, right? Now you can build essentially a customized Copilot agent that, it might not do it perfectly every time, but it might get you at 90% of the way there within a couple of minutes, right? So that's why I think this new version of Copilot is extremely enticing, right? Especially, we don't even know what's going to be coming to Apple and to Mac here in June. But I do think that this Microsoft's Copilot Studio and kind of this new Copilot stack between personal, team, and agents, man, I mean, this is, if you're not already looking at Windows, looking at Microsoft, let's just say your organization is all in on Mac, all in on Apple, this makes it tough. I mean, yeah, we'll see what Apple announces at their WWDC event here, I believe, the second week of June, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, I think, right? For companies, for enterprise companies, if they are Mac, it's going to be hard to justify sticking with that system much longer if Apple doesn't completely blow something out of the water here with their next announcement. Which brings me to our last one, number 5. Here we go. Speaking of that, kind of a hot take here, right? I had a recorded show yesterday, so I didn't get the full hot take Tuesday, but I'm going to bring it right here. I think Microsoft is fighting the wrong battle, and they have been for years. But I only think now it is evident once we have seen just how far ahead they are of everyone else when it comes to their generative AI and large language model capabilities within their operating system, within their suite of products. So what we saw a lot in the developer conference, so the Microsoft Build conference, we saw a lot of this. We saw a lot of time and effort and energy go into the marketing of, hey, this new Copilot Plus PC. So looking at the new Surface laptop and, this Copilot Plus that runs models locally versus the newest MacBook Air. And you know what? It got me thinking. I think Microsoft has been doing it wrong for a while, if I'm being honest, right? They're trying to say, our Surface laptop is better, is more capable, is more powerful than a MacBook Air. Well, yeah, duh. I don't understand this stance from Microsoft, right? If I was Microsoft, I would have been trying so hard over the last couple of years. Is it too late now? Maybe. I would have been trying so hard over the last couple of years to convince companies, individuals, everyone to untether from the Apple ecosystem. And I would have been, if I was Microsoft, I would have been paying so much more attention, marketing dollars, everything else about, hey, how you can still pair an Apple, an iPhone, and how you can still integrate it into the Windows ecosystem, into Microsoft, right? I'm not a Microsoft user. I used to actually build PCs back when I was a teenager. I was actually a Microsoft certified professional, 22 years ago. But I don't think that they put in enough effort. I think that Microsoft has really just been able to build products and software in a silo, completely neglecting any capability, any functionality for people who are using iPhones, right? That's the thing right now. There's no comparison for the iPhone. And I think of even myself and how I work, right? And I'm probably on the extreme side of this. So I have an Apple iPhone, I have a Mac, I have a watch, right? I have all the Apple stuff. And I use it because it all works so seamlessly together. And I know that if you are in kind of the Windows ecosystem, you get that functionality as well. But here's the reality. iPhone and Apple are not losing market share anytime soon. So I think Microsoft is spending all of their marketing dollars trying to compare, hey, our Surface laptop is better than the MacBook Air. Yeah, duh. It's not even close right now, right? Because right now, Microsoft has had a year plus head start on everything generative AI versus Apple, right? Apple, their announcement in June, presumably they're going to be working with OpenAI. Guess what? Microsoft is light years ahead. So I think even the absolute best case scenario for whatever Apple announces here in June, the absolute best case scenario, right? Like we've seen reports of it's going to help, summarize your text messages, which I would love, summarize web pages in Safari, great, right? But absolute best case for Apple and for Macs, looking at the end of 2024, is they're a year behind. They're a year behind where PCs are, especially when you look at the new kind of Copilot Plus PCs. Y'all, if I was Microsoft, I wouldn't be fighting that battle. I would be spending more and more time trying to develop new solutions that make it easier for people with iPhones to essentially work on a PC. Period. That's the wrong battle. Is it even possible? I don't know. I know Apple and Mac, all of their, software programs are very proprietary. It's hard to, you talk about like blue text versus green text, right? But I think Microsoft is fighting the wrong battle here. You saw this over and over and over again, all these comparisons to, the Copilot PC Plus versus, MacBook Air. It's like, okay, that does nothing. That does nothing. I think what Microsoft has to do, or what they should have been doing for the last couple of years, maybe it's too little too late, is convince iPhone users to untether from the Apple ecosystem. Hey, if you have an iPhone, here's how you can still work great on our devices, right? Like an example is, Google Photos, right? That makes it easier for Apple users to get into this Google ecosystem of software, of services, right? Hey, unlimited cloud storage of your Google Photos. What a great entryway into Google's suite and products. I don't think you see that from Microsoft, right? I don't think you see it, right? Like, why is there no, all-encompassing way for iPhone users or for people who are, kind of quote unquote, I won't even say it's stuck, but now I kind of feel stuck, if I'm being honest. I kind of feel stuck in the Apple ecosystem, in the Mac, right? And it's like, I want all this, but everything I have, right? I love being able to, as an example, text message from my computer, with people who just have iMessage, which you can't do right now, on the Windows side. So I do think that in the Build conference, Microsoft spent so much time, essentially fighting a battle that I think anyone who can read, anyone who can decipher information, they already understand that they're winning, right? The hardware's better. The software with generative AI, with Copilot, has the potential, if it works well, has the potential to be exponentially better. So I don't know why they are fighting a battle that I think they already won. Yeah, like Rolando is saying, I love this, said, sounds like Microsoft needs to watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk. Start with why. Yeah, why? Why are you comparing yourself to MacBook Air? Makes no sense. All right, so to recap, y'all, let's go ahead and recap the 5 things that I think you need to take away, the 5 things that matter from this new announcements from the Build conference. Again, we're in day 2 of day 3, so it's wrapping up. But first and foremost, kind of point number 5 is we are getting Edge AI with Copilot Plus PC, kind of the first big mainstream of bringing generative AI capabilities with large language models to the desktop, bringing it online off the cloud to the device. Number 4, recall, which I think is a game-changing feature for how we work, essentially like internet history, but for everything that is happening on your computer. Number 3 is just a much more powerful Copilot with GPT-4o capabilities and the ability to kind of act with an agent in real time on no matter what you're working on with one click. AI agents and Copilot Studio is our second to last one there. Just being able to build your own Copilots and then to bring in this agent capabilities, which we've seen announcements, but Microsoft, a lot of these features are reportedly going to be rolling out June 18th. They could be the first major player in the AI agent space. And then last but not least, number 1, I think Microsoft is just fighting the wrong battle. I think they are so far ahead, yet they are still obsessed with just comparing, apples to apples. I think they're fighting the wrong battle. They should be fighting to get iPhone users into the Microsoft Windows and Copilot PC ecosystem of products and services. I think they're fighting the wrong battle. They're so far ahead. All right, that is it for today. I know a longer show. There was a lot here. If this was helpful, I'd appreciate it if you're listening on the podcast. Please leave us a review and rating. We come to you guys live almost every single day. This is unedited, unscripted, right? I think that's important, right? When we're learning about AI, there's so much fake, so much manufactured, so much marketing out here. So that's what we try to do at Everyday AI. We try to break it all down for everyday people. So if you don't have a PhD in machine learning, I hope the Everyday AI podcast, live stream, and newsletter is helpful for you. So if you could leave us a review, if you could share this, we'd appreciate it. And also go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for that free daily newsletter. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.